Are you optimistic that
Brian.
indeed a trade deal will be struck?
I am. Actually, we met the day after you and I talked last time, a couple of weeks ago, and I'm quite sure there'll be a trade deal done. It'll have many pieces, some easy, some not so easy, but the markets are going to really like this deal, I believe.
What's going to be in it?
Well, the easiest, going from easy to hard, the easiest things of all is to buy a lot of soybeans, buy a lot of announced purchases of all sorts of things.
They already
looks like
buy
a trade
stuff, John. What's so new and interesting about that?
It's not, but it's the easiest thing to give. Next easiest thing, of course, is tariffs. You can just wipe them out. The next easiest thing is intellectual property. And the thing that's important there is China already has had a law in play that's being passed that will protect intellectual property more. And there's a huge lobby force inside China that wants their intellectual property protected. If you think Alibaba or Huawei or those kind of companies, those are easy to do. As Eunice said, the enforcement's the issue because enforcement of IP law is done at local courts, which are under the influence of mayors and vice mayors. And that's why the Chinese government has now put penalties on those local government officials for forcing technology transfers. Technology transfer is the next one that's easy to say and hard to police because it happens one at a time inside companies all over China, but they're saying the right words here. And of course, they're also going to say they're going to protect the RMB and keep stabilize the currency. Now, there's some people inside our government that think that China's been pushing their currency down. It has fallen, but they've actually been trying to prop it up. It's fallen because foreign investors have pulled their money out of China, making it difficult to maintain the currency at its current level. And so announcing a stable currency is going to discourage those people from pulling capital out. It'll actually make the People's Bank of China's job a lot easier. The economy is very weak. They've done all they can do to stimulate it, and it'll take some time before that takes effect. But I think the markets themselves are going to really like the deal.
I'm going to ask you about the Chinese economy in 1 second, but first, it is not all warm and fuzzy. We're talking a lot of good news here. They're going to make a deal, IP protection, et cetera. Here's the problem. There's also a story out today that Huawei, who you just referenced, is planning to sue the federal U.S. government for banning agencies from using its products. So on one hand, you've got this warm and fuzzy talk, John. On the other hand, one of the biggest and arguably most important companies in China in technology and IP wants to sue us.
Absolutely. Well, a lot of people sue our government every day. You know, the Huawei story is huge. And the reason behind the national security clause in that new investment law Eunice referenced is so they can do the same to us and neutralize our influence on that national security issue. You know, the one thing we're not going to get on this trade deal that I advised our team that's not going to happen is to end Chinese industrial policy. The state-owned companies get subsidies from the government because they're huge employers, but more importantly, Chinese government wants to go from being an assembler of iPhones to a producer of branded, protected IP product for the global economy.
That's hard to do, John. You know that. I mean, you're talking about going from the U.S. in 1920 to the U.S. in 1980. I mean, these are not jumps that occur in a couple of years, even with a state-owned push. Also, I want to ask you, you said the Chinese economy is weak, yet we get the numbers out that they're growing at just over 6%.
Absolutely. Well, it's weaker than that. And manufacturing is especially weak. But to your point, Brian, China had more patents than the U.S. last year by about double. Chinese scientists and Chinese industry is growing very fast. So I wouldn't count them out on the technology front. But Huawei and ZTE are the point of the spear on Chinese foreign policy, too. It's how they penetrate emerging markets and get access to commodities and other things they need to grow this new technology economy. So Huawei and ZTE are very important to the Chinese government. Our government has pushed very hard against them, of course. I don't know about the Korean restrictions, but I do know that the security issues that they talked about, I haven't seen any real evidence of any sort of security breaches in the telecom equipment, and many people around the world question whether that's even true.